Yeah. Okay, so let's start with user story. We've seen use case diagrams, right? So use case is kind of a bit of, I'll not say older way, but it's kind of, we used to do it from last, 30, 40 odd years in the scientific community, and then, even project management community adopted these things. So these are kind of, really great uniform, tool, not just for IT, but many scientists, mathematicians, researchers, they use case diagram to showcase how the overall system and discussion, solution and discussion are interacting with the user, and how user is basically responding to the system, or what are the responses they get. Now there is a kind of advancement in terms of management processes overall to make use case diagrams more non-technical. See, whenever you try to apply certain symbols, certain process flow and all those things, they are very well accepted within very educated community. But when it comes to something like let's say insurance domain, let's say a bit of retail domain, the people, they are not that much I'll not say educated, but they don't really accept these changes of standardization or something like that. So what our overall the architectural uniformity kind of adoption gone the user story. So now what we do, we create stories for a user. So user is a central part here, and it started with agile scrum. So agile was the driving factor, agile project management methodology here, and then we started building these stories. So a user, so what user want from the system is basically mentioned in the story. The normal template, as we discussed last time, right? As a person, as a user, I want to register me as a user of a bank. So I need to open an account technically. But user wise, I need to get connected to the bank, registered with the bank. Okay, so I normally open an account. So how bank will respond in this scenario? I want to register with bank. So bank will know me as a customer, and I'll have a unique identification from bank called account number. Now it's a kind of user story which everybody understands. Even a normal high school going student can easily understand how these user stories are being depicted. So that's really the most easiest one. The example given here are, Max, I want to invite my friends so that I can enjoy my service together. Now it's a summarized user story. You can have a detailed user story, and the overall work executed under user story is normally as big as 6 hours, because normally we consider 6 hours as our work day. So we create a user story for 6 hour work. We'll come to estimation and everything in some time, but right now, just understand, whatever user story you do, it has to be completed within 6 hours. So when I say I want to open an account, well, nowadays everything is online and on cloud and everything. Banks are digitized, so account will be opened in few minutes. Well, of course, if they have some check-in procedures like governmental authority and all this, that might take some dependencies and all. But overall, the other processes are get completed within few minutes. So the bank might inform you then and there, or bank might come back to you saying, okay, your account is being opened. After 2 days, 3 days, your credit score has been verified. We are happy to give you this much credit card, that much overdraft and blah blah things. So these processes get executed in certain number of days, certain number of hours. Again, depending upon your state law, federal law, and all those. But when it comes to account opening, it's a very small process. So the user interaction with the bank is just few minutes. That's all. Now what you do afterwards? Well, you might have other work with the system, like you have to read the bank manual. Where are the ATM machines available? Where is the bank nearest possible bank branch for that user, for that account holder, and so on so forth, so that we can interact with them. So now I'll expand my user story to a next level, and this is how I do. Okay, so the way we discussed, right? Try to make a user story of me making a tea. Okay, so this will give you an idea. Making tea is very simple process. I get up, I feel like having tea or coffee, whatever you like, and then how do you do it? How much time it takes? Okay, as simple as that. A small user story might be 5 or 6 sentences, and you describe your coffee making or tea making process. Okay, this has been explained by Grady Bush, one of the forefathers of UML. I'm lucky to work with this guy. He is really great, guru in terms of the philosophy behind UML or philosophy behind building these uniform architectural conversational language. Okay, so this any questions so far on user story? Okay. Now let's go ahead and let's try to understand another very important tool for every meeting, for every discussions. We normally create a standard document called minutes of meeting. And again, this is not just for the IT. Wherever you go, let's say you're building a house, so you are meeting with your contractor. You can also build a minutes of meeting. Hey, contractor, we wait on such and such time. These are the points discussed. This is what you communicated to us. This is what the next action point on me, on you, and blah 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 things. Okay, so like this, it's a formal document, formal, and it's an auditory artifact as well. Okay, so how do you record a minutes of meeting? You normally prepare a document. And nowadays, you can also record audio call, video calls, and all those things, and you can present them as a minutes of meeting. But for auditory purpose, in many state or federal governments, you require to have a document called minutes of meeting. It might not be a printed document. It can be a digital document. It can be a read-only document available on your document space, storage, and all that. So that can be presented like this meeting has happened. So and so were present at that meeting. This was the chairperson. These were the points discussed. These were the action item assigned, and these were the dates or the action item closure dates have been given. So as simple as that, there are hardly 4 or 5 elements, and these things do change according to the adoption of the organizational minutes of meeting template. Every organizations have their own minutes of meeting template. So in some, you might have to mention the place of the meeting start, was it formal, informal, and might have a document with couple of pictures as well. Again, depending upon the adoption of the quality processes of a given organizations. Okay, so here the minutes of meeting officially a summary of what happened during the meeting. Simple enough. They serve as an outline, a written record for everyone be unable to attend or to be used for future reference as well. Minutes document what happened and what discussions are made, what actions items are assigned, and so on and so forth. When written well, when using a good minutes of meeting template, minutes are a critically communication tool for your organization. Again, it's an auditory artifact. So whenever somebody wants to audit, let's say you are discussed an initial project description. You as an analyst gone with a project manager to a client, let's say a client called Enterprise Rent Car in St. Louis. They have their corporate office there, and you're building some, good payment gateway for them. It's a, something like Zile or something like that. You're trying to develop for them. So you go on and meet, their VP finance, VP projects, and blah 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 thing, and they give you some detail. So how do you record this thing? Sometimes in some clients, let's say if you're gone and trying to meet these API people or police people, they don't really like to record meeting. So what do? You create a minutes of meeting, okay, and that's how you do it. So this is an auditory artifact for such scenario also. But enterprise rent card allows you to record as an audio template. So you normally just start with this is the minutes of meeting audio recording for such and such day, such and such time, at such and such place, and these are the attendees. Okay, so I'll start recording the meeting. So what I'll discuss, meeting started with greeting, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Then the major point was discussed, like the VP finance have expressed, he wants to have a quicker payment gateway. Quicker in the sense the payment should be, acknowledged within so many seconds, within so many nanosecond, milliseconds, or whatnot. And we mentioned those things there. So these things we need to research. So which type of bank can give you such a fast acknowledgement, receipt, and blah blah thing. So we might need to tie up with that bank to process these payment processes. Now these are digitized payment process. So whatever user pays, you have to get the money from user account and post it to the vendor's account or post it to the let's say here enterprise rent a car account. Now how fast will that be done? Again, depending upon various banks, various infrastructure supported by many of the bank and so on and so forth. So we normally try to collect. So the VP finance might suggest some bank, our project manager might suggest some bank, and whenever we go to our office and do research, we might find a few other banks who can basically satisfy the need for so much faster communication, so much faster payment acknowledgement for the user and so on and so forth. So these all things are noted. Even we normally commit to a client, let me do a research for 3-4 days. So you can't say 3-4 days. Let me do a research till 24th of February. And I'll come back to you by the end of the day, 24th February, what have we done as a research and what are our conclusion. And then we might have a quick call. And this call can be another meeting. Now here meeting means not just a personal meeting. It can be a telephonic conversation. It can be a Zoom call. It can be a Google Meet or any number of tools available. Even it can be a meet during lunch or dinner or wine and dine as well. Again, depending upon the availability, depending upon the convenience of the people, we normally try to meet these people whenever we can, whenever it's possible, because there are many senior people who are normally busy. So what we do, we try to find a convenient time with their availability, with our availability, and so on. So we should be quick enough nowadays. And this kind of time adoption came. So we normally do audio recording and we post that audio recording. Plus, we build a document for an auditory artifact because many governmental auditory procedures need a digital document. As I told you, it might not be a print one, but it's just a kind of simple document which can be kept for the records. Let's try to understand what are the necessary information we are collecting here. The title of the group, why we are meeting. So, new project discussion meeting, new project discussion on advanced payment gateway or quicker payment gateway, whatever. Again, this is chosen by the minute drafter, whoever drafting these minutes. Mostly these are the analysts. So analysts draft these meetings. Sometimes anybody from client side also can draft the meeting and then ship it to you. And there are few hours window given to the other party to suggest if we have missed anything, if we have misquoted anything, or if we try to uh, um, use some right words. And this is also happens mostly in legal terminology. There are few words which are used in terms of show that the minutes couldn't derive any other meaning than it's required. And that's a requirement of the legal minutes and meeting also. But in normal IT, you can use whatever word. But if the clients or the other party wants, they can suggest you the right word. So minutes of meeting is a very crucial document. Then we try to list down the number of attendees. Even there are attendees who are not speaking during the meeting, their name mentioned. In some organizations, the designation is also important and a contact number is also important. Again, the way you have adopted the minutes of meeting template, you might put. And minutes of meeting can be as simple as Word document or Excel document, or you might have a form to fill. Again, depending upon the adoption of your organizational, quality processes, we can get adopt to that. But overall, these things are quite pretty common. Okay, and then there is a meeting agenda. Now, meeting agenda normally get distributed by email, get distributed or discussed over phone as well. So sometimes these agendas are, already mentioned. You can just copy paste or you can just include that thing in your minutes of meeting. Most of the time it's needed. Okay. Now the most important part, what are the decisions have been made? So what type of decisions are we looking at here? We are looking at who discussed, who is going to do what specifically. When it comes to, we'll first start with Ravindra Pande, is a minutes drafter. He started drafting minute after the after the meeting, and at such and such date, such and such place, and so on and so forth. Again, depending upon the adoption of the organizational templates, we might use the place and time. Otherwise, just the drafter's name. But normally, drafter's name is included. Drafter means who is typing, who is building this document, who is the author of this artifact. What are the decisions were made by whom? So, who discussed what? Who initiated? Who tabled the discussions? Who again suggested something? And then the final action point agreed by all. All in the sense there could be a chairman's approval, there could be few persons approval on agreeing these minutes of meeting, agreeing these action points. And action points are assigned to somebody, specific person, specific designation, or a number of persons or number of designations, so that we can track them, we can build a traceability. And that's the beauty of auditory artifact. You have to have that traceability. Who started, who discussed, who talked, who basically committed to do these things till what date. So there will be an action end date. If there are any dependency, those also mentioned. The motions and vote counts. And quite a few meetings might have a vote count, like which type of color I should have, for my Christmas T-shirt, which I'm going to give to employee. So there could be a vote count. Some might want light green, some might want light brown, and blah 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 blah. So there are so many people, so many different options. So we might have a voting. So whatever voting won in terms of which colors to be adopted, that has to be mentioned. So these questions or these were discussed. These were the alternative available, and the maximum alternative are these three. Some minutes might include all voting details, but normally voting details like who voted for what is excluded, but majority votes are being counted. So these many votes are for these color, and so the motion passed. Okay, and so on and so forth. I'll also share a YouTube video how to write a minutes of meeting like pro and all those things. It's simple enough to understand, right? Have you worked on any minutes of meeting till date, Sahil sir? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, what do you ask? I
Okay, yeah, no, no problem. Have you authored any minutes of meeting? Have you written any minutes of meeting till date? Minutes of meeting कभी बनाया आपने?
think
नहीं क्या तो ठीक है. But ये काफी it's quite simple thing, and I'll share you a video also. But you got an idea, right? What are minutes of meeting and why they are created and all?
yeah.
Okay, no problem. Now sample name, like project name, company name, title of meeting, description of meeting, reason to be called for, author name, designation rule, meeting attended by with name, designation rule, the agenda, point discussed, optional, so on and so forth. So and even next meeting plan and all. So it's a sample, right? So we can basically do these things. Would you like to watch the video of MOM right now, or can I just share the link?
Just hear it. That's better. Otherwise,
Okay.
we get.
No problem. And that's all in terms of necessary documents. Now we are venturing to something like, the kind of analyst job. Whenever you collect requirement, the next step is basically start understanding the depth of what needs to be done. So if you are building something like payment gateway, okay, so what type of work actually needs to be executed by the team, and this is what the start of project management area. So you are converting the work or the project got from the client to the internal team in a way of they should understand in depth, or we should collect all the details what are needed for that building document like system requirement specification, functional requirement specification, and so on and so forth. So we are trying to move to an area of management here. Normally, project management lead these staff, project management lead these tasks, but still analysts play a very crucial part because we have gone and understood the meeting. We have built documents like MOM and all those things. So we might take an active role in this building something called work breakdown structure. So we are breaking down the work into smaller pieces. Now, when I said a user story should have at least 6 hours work. Okay. Now that comes from this work breakdown structure. So in work breakdown structure, what I do, breaking down work into smaller tasks is a common productivity technique used to make the work more manageable and approachable. And this work breakdown structure can be done from the minutes of meeting, sorry, can be done from the user story, use case diagram, and so on and so forth as well. There are some automation software, but as I told you, there is a big of artwork here. So you need to understand your developers, your platform of choice, and how much time will it take to construct these user story into that platform, that code, and whatever you're selecting. Again, this also depends on what type of teams do you have, You have a better .NET developer, you have a better Android developer or whatnot. And then you might discuss with this project management office or project manager himself or herself, and then come down to a work breakdown structure. For projects, the work breakdown structure is a tool that utilizes the technique and is one of the most important project management document also. And this is what we call live document. What is live document? These documents are basically released as per the date, because all these projects can be broken down in a day one. So what you do, whatever work I do today, I release it as 19th June 2025, release of work breakdown structure for payment development gateway for enterprise center car. And this document will be put it to or release as a non-editable document. You can convert it to PDF or whatnot or image and put it on our source control directory or a shared directory where I'm keeping this document for a safekeeping, which are backed up, retrieved, and blah blah blah. Okay, so which has basically kind of restricted access to whomever to be know, closely working with your project. Okay, because now we are detailing into how the work is to be planned, how the work has to be executed. Once you started understanding this, what needs to be done at the nth level. I'm telling this nth level. Normally, there are 3 to 4 level max, and we'll learn about those as well. Okay, so no worries there. It single-handedly integrates the scope. Again, cost is basically not conveyed to everybody. Schedule, the scope and schedule baselines, ensuring the project plans are in alignment. So when it comes to, I know how much time a tea, making will take, right? Because I do it every day. So or my partner does it every day. Again, depending upon your own, arrangement, your own discussions, and all those things. So you will understand how tea is made, how many minutes, who make better tea, me, my mom, my wife, and all those gamut of the people in your house. I'll try to assign the work to the best skilled labor. Don't bog down by the word labor. Here it means that the best person who can do the tea. It can be me. It can be my brother. It can be my mom, mother, father, wife. Again, every household have a good tea maker, so he or she will make the tea. Now, if I'm the tea maker, I'll know what all things to be collected, put it into tea, how much time it takes for boiling, how much time it'll take to pour it into a cup. And that's all the whole thing I have planned. So my work, that project might be tea making project. What I'll start with work breakdown structure here, collect the pot, collect the water in a pot, put the pot to boil the tea, and so on and so forth. So this is how I break down the. Okay. Now here I have already included the scope. The total scope is making tea. The total schedule is so many minutes I want. So if I spend 10 minutes in just collecting water, the tea making process gone for a toss, right? So I should collect the tea, collect the water in the pot within so many seconds, so many minutes. Again, depending upon your thought process, depending upon how much tea you are making, and so on. So but I can easily, scope it out. I can easily schedule it out. And that's the beauty of work breakdown structure. So even if I want to have a lemongrass tea and I don't have a lemongrass handy, I might need to go to the courtyard and get some lemongrass, for my tea making process. So that might take an additional minute. Same thing with ginger. Same thing with any, cardamom or whatever you are adding. If it's not available, you might have to go somewhere and get it. No, you don't go to supermarket early in the morning, right? Because they might not open and blah blah. There are various time limits to making your tea also. So you might go away with the adding something which is not available, or you might go to the courtyard. Again, all these processes are already scoped and scheduled in your mind. You might not have written it somewhere, but that's how the work breakdown structure is planned. Again, this workload structure is explained and kind of standardized in the project management book of knowledge. It's called PMBOK. And it defines workdown structure as a deliverable oriented hierarchical decomposition. These are really heavy words, but again, it's a simple thing. You break down the work to a level where everybody in your team understand what's need to be done, how much time and schedule we have attached to that. As simple as that. of the work to be executed by the project team. There are two types of WBS, a delivery based. Delivery in the sense where you're making T, your T is a result, T is a delivery, and a phase based in the sense if there are too many gaps, if there are too many dependencies, I normally go by the phase based delivery method. Phase based in the sense first phase, second phase, third phase. So if I don't have cardamom with me, I might need to go to supermarket. So what I'll do, should I keep the water boiling? No. What I'll do, I'll try to make the cardamom tea tomorrow. Today I'll have the tea without cardamom. So that's my phase one. Whenever way to office or way to home from the office, I'll go to supermarket and get the cardamom, get whatever contents I need to make a tea, and that can be the phase two. So tomorrow I'll make the tea whatever I like, whatever I was craving for. And this is a kind of phase-based delivery we can understand. Again, these are project management thought processes. We might not go into the depth of it, but I'm just trying to explain because WBS is the best tool to make your life easier. Simple thought process. I'm going from my home to office. Which is the most efficient path? Which is the most efficient way? Do my car helps every time? If you're staying in some city like New York, Boston, or a big city where there are traffic jams, where there might be many dependencies, I might use public transport. So public transport will save me money on my gas, save time. Actually, saving time is the more important than saving money here. But again, the dependencies like my car might be old, it can broke down. So I normally choose to go by these things till I get a new car. Or I might accompany with 3-4 colleagues who share these gas cost and all those things. So driving to work is beneficial for me so that I can really enjoy driving to work, and that's also a possibility. Again, how do I define these things? First, I'll break down. So breakdown. Is my car efficient? Yes, no. What are the analysis step? No, I think I'll take a metro. I'll take a tube. I'll take a bus. Again, depending upon the availability of the resources, depending upon your choice of mode, your choice of thought process of efficiency or enjoyment, and that's how you'll come down to the best possible option, and you normally go ahead with that. But how do I achieve that? By breaking down the whole process to smaller steps and then analyzing which is the best, which I enjoy, which is really economical for me, which is really time saving for me. Again, depending upon your choice, you normally try to adapt to that process. Does that make sense, Sahil sir?
Yes.
Come again. Makes sense, right?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Now here we normally take this as a what you can say uh,
Structure for that.
yeah, construction of a house in terms of how do you build a work breakdown structure for construction of house. So there's a step-by-step process. Again, normally the budgetary points are not included in most of the templates, but it's an Excel-based templates which we used to use, in one of the construction company, and that's why it's available on the Google, and it's non-copyrighted and all those things as well. So here we have a levels of work breakdown structure. The first level, there are three distinct steps to be executed to construct a house. First is internal, second is foundation, and third is external. Now, as we have seen the construction house, I can clearly see the foundation should be done first. Are you with me, sir?
Yes.
What should be the second?
First is like foundation, then second is external,
Uh-huh.
then internal.
Perfect, perfect. Again, some might say one is first, and or we can do it in parallel as well. Again, depending upon the thought process of the project, planner, manager, architecture, design, you might come down to it. Now, the beauty of work breakdown structures here, the responsibility lies with the project manager, but the say is with everybody, including analyst, designer, architect, even the team who is developing it. Would we do it parallelly? do we have so many team members that we can do it parallelly, or do we have to wait for something to finish and then, because unless and until we complete our foundation, you can't go for either internal or external stuff. And normally, as you correctly said, normally we do the foundation, then we do the external, and then we start with the internal, because internal has to be look good. Then it's more of a, what you can say, look and feel type of outcome or results we are expecting. External also be more interested in look and feel, but it's more of sturdiness, more of trying to cope up with all the seasons and blah blah things. Okay, so that's how we do.
Nothing should be more attractive than external, we can say that.
Perfect, perfectly said, perfectly said, sir. And the labels of a breakdown here, there are only two labels mentioned here. So electrical, let's say foundation. So I'll first examine means I'll try to understand how to basically step down the required place for foundation, and what type of steel column and those things has to be inserted. What type of cement I'm inserting. How much time that cement will take to solidify and blah blah things. So those are my first, kind of scope and schedule I'm trying to make. Then I'll go to the external one where I'll try to say what are the machinery works, the pipe, the gas, the electricity, and all those things. How much that thing will take to have to outsource this, because some of the things are done by those specific company people. Like for gas, you can't lay down the pipe for gas. They have their way of doing it. Same thing with electrical
And
people.
say we can say that simply electricity piping as well as the kitchen setup. If we're gonna do a kitchen setup, we need to hire someone because they able to do everything properly with the cupboards and every that stuff.
Very rightly said. So you clearly understanding these things. So that's how we can outsource a bit of step also. And then I might go to a detailing of this masonry work. I'll say kitchen work. I might say gas connection. I might say electrical connection. And then this is kind of the third level of.
Wooden work and that stuff like that.
It'll have a number like 3.1.2, 3.1.3, and so on. So this is the way
Uh-huh.
on increasing levels of work breakdown structure, right? Same thing with the building finishes. So what should be the color? What should be the windows? Are they sliding? Do we have a mosquito net? Do we have a security net? And so on. So same thing with the internal work, the electrical,
What
plumbing.
they say about the masonry work? What's that?
It's basically talks about the underground piping system. So drainage work, the
Okay.
electric piping underground, if they are underground. Because nowadays, if you look at the new modern structure, everything is underground, right? You can't
Yeah.
see a wire hanging around, or you can see a
Mm-hmm.
pipe going out, a kind of scenario. So that's the way they've categorized. This is a kind of bit of modern
But
template.
if we saw that while we are doing foundation, right?
Uh-huh.
For then we have to do a draining pipe and that stuff we have to install before doing foundation, right?
Again, there could be some overlap also. Now you're understanding it clearly. Like,
Uh,
both can be included, or some of it can be included in foundation also. And some of it can
mhm.
be in internal also, because there are pipes coming from outside. There might be a big pipe available on your roadside, and you're connecting a small pipe from there to your house underground. And then another pipe from underground to your first floor, second floor. And again, depending upon how many floors you have, are you
Yeah,
building.
first of all, they have to make connected with the main point.
Right. So there is a foundation, there is external, and there is an internal work as well. Again, depending upon your planning, depending upon the number of levels you have planned, right? You
Got you for that.
reaching into the depth of actual task, the scope, and the schedule as well, and how much it will take. So you can think of, even as a non-electrical or non, gas worker people. I can easily understand how much time will take to get the pipe, get the electrical wire from that road to my house. If
It's
I'm
also like seem like data analyst work, right?
yeah.
First of all, we have to collect the data, then filter the data, analyze the data, then we have to figure out what is the lack of that data, and after that, we have to give the results.
Very, very, very rightly said. Again, in some organizations, in some project teams, you might have a estimator, you might have a a scheduler.
That's you for that.
Yeah,
Estimated for every kind of project, that how much it's cost and how much we have to tell to the stakeholders and how we get the deals from them.
perfectly. You got the point. But here the leader is project manager. We are supporting
Mhm.
him. But if you can explain them, okay, I've used work breakdown such a number of times, the other person will understand. Wow. So you work with bigger project also, because mostly whenever you work with a bigger project, this work breakdown structure can go to the sixth level, seventh level, and so on and so forth as well. Okay.
Mhm.
People depending upon whatever project you are working on, and the project manager or the estimator or the project planner will guide you on this. But again,
Even the construction of the houses also depends on the demands, right? What kind of material they wanted, what kind of structure they needed.
very rightly so. And there is a difference. If you're working in a creek, if you're working in a hard soil, if you're working in a farmland, there are different ways and different estimations attached to this project also. If you're doing any house construction, bridge construction, or those construction kind of stuff. So you got it really good. Even as
In an interview, they're not gonna ask me, ask like that, okay, tell us the estimated of this stuff and that stuff.
you're not an estimator, right? See,
Uh,
estimators need a domain knowledge. So when I say
got you.
knowledge, let's say as you worked in extensively work in pharma industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
A kind of delivery. Once you order to X number of tablets to X number of organizations, how much delivery of that tablet will come till it reach my shop floor, right? You can plan it. And that's the domain knowledge we are talking about when it comes to estimator, scoping it out, or a planner or scheduler. And that's the
Got you.
expertise will understand slowly, steadily when you start working on a particular domain, start working with a particular type of. Uh,
Got you for that.
yeah, great. Now here, same thing, which we have basically, used in a more what you can say.
First of all, we need the design, then uh,
Uh,
design for the electricity piping and everything that stuff, then instruct construction interior and exterior, and oh, they need the inspection too.
uh, turnover. So handing over, handover could be a better word, but I don't know why I use turnover. So you're basically turning over to this house to the resident. Let's say I'm building a single story house, right? So first I create a blueprint, then they call it blueprint, and then I apply that. I take that blueprint and apply it to the local authorities for gas permits, for electricity permits, and so on and so forth. I submit this drawing to them, and they approve it. And then I'll
Mhm.
procure. So I'll procure electrical connection. I'll procure the water, plumbing connection for gas, water, and blah blah thing. And then HAVC is basically high voltage, alternating current. So it's a kind of electrical thing as well. So it's a kind of repetition, I believe. So
Actually, we can say also say that heat and air conditioned stuff.
you can see that, that as well, right? So those kind of scenario. Then you have a construction. So I'll build the interior or exterior. I do it in parallel and so on and so forth. Then the inspections of manufacturing work, those drainage pipelines, gas pipelines, underground work, and all those things. And then I finish the building with whatever painting, the interior work like glass doors, handles, safety net, and blah blah things, and then I hand it over to the client. So I'll basically plan a walkthrough. So whatever whoever is a house owner, I'll give him or her a walkthrough. Might be many people, and then I'll close the deal. I'll say please release the final payments and blah blah blah. So this is how I scoped out a complete work breakdown structure for a house. The work breakdown structure is used for many things. Initially, it serves as a planning tool for the to help the project team to plan, define, organize scope with deliverables. So here, scoping and scheduling is the most important part. The budgeting is is also included, but most of the time it's kept separate from the development team. That's why I'm not mentioning the budgeting here. The WBS is also used as a primary source of schedule and cost estimates and activities. But the bigger contribution to projects are the use as a description of all work as a monitoring and controlling tool. Because I know once I build the drawing, how much the approval authority will take, or they are bound to give me a estimate. So when I present my blueprints to a local municipality office to sanction my plan, they'll take 1 day, 2 day, 3 days. Again, nowadays it happens online as well. So you submit online, you submit the blueprint image what in whatever format they want, and you normally wait for a few hours, few days, and they'll give you an email, SMS, WhatsApp saying, okay, your blueprint have been authorized. Your blueprint might need some, updates or suggestions as per the municipal guidelines, and you might have to implement them. And you submit the drawing again, and they'll come back to you within hours or days, and then you have the blueprint ready with you. But here, once you started breaking down the structure, you'll also basically understanding how much time you or the other party needs in the process, and then that's how that scheduling happens in line. And that's the beauty of the work breakdown structure. Does that make sense, sir?
Yes.
I know it's not very easy, but once you start practicing it, might be one, second, third round, you'll clearly understand what is the work breakdown structure and why it's including the analyst tool of these things. Okay. Again, you're not the
Got your point. What you wanna say, I understand that totally because whenever we are going to do anything, right, for like budget or something,
uh,
everyone have a different budget and we have to be adjust everything in their budget. So we have to focus on this.
so that's why WBS is really good tool. But here the problem is that we are trying to make the estimate with the gut feel. Okay, so that's the kind of
Indirectly, WBS is a tracking the structure too, right?
no, tracking is we have project plan. That's Microsoft Project or Jira. See, there we have a
Okay.
task and a number of days, and basically it can come out of WBS also. Even Jira allows you to take your Excel. If you make WBS in Excel, you can import
Mm.
it into the Jira or Microsoft Project so that you have the basic task structure created, and you can just apply the schedule there. And
So WBS is just work for a structure or estimate.
estimate in the sense you're talking about a scope or schedule, because normally the financial estimate is not what you can say inclusive in the analyst work, but scope or schedule sometimes, again, you are not the owner, but you are the assistants, or you are helping the project manager to build these things. So once you have a WBS, which is a kind of a non-scientific tool, means many refer to as a non-scientific because it's
Uh-huh.
and we have number of scientific tools also nowadays, but still, so whenever you have a breakdown structure, it can be used for scope and scheduling. So once you import in Jira or project management, these are project tracking tools. There you can apply the scope to these things. Normally WBS doesn't include scope or schedules. Could you see scope and schedules here? They are
Uh-huh.
there we can understand as a layman, but still it has to be whenever you build a project plan, right? There you need to have a concrete date, start date, end date, number of resources attached to a given task, and so on and so forth. So those are project planning tools where the scope, timelines, schedules are correctly mentioned, even the resources.
Okay. In Zira, we just have to be mention the assignment finish date, the last date, like it's valid for 2 weeks. In this, we able to create every deadline for every step.
No, no, you don't normally mention deadline in the scopes. Those are project planning things. So this is the initial thought process, WBS, right? And whenever you
Mm-hmm.
import this thing in Jira or Microsoft Project, there you start applying the dates. So start date, end date. Ravindra is going to work on this. Varuna ma'am is going to work on that. Science sir is going to work on that task, and so on. So
Mm-hmm.
this is
Yeah,
the
catch you correct.
so that's a project planning. This is just the understanding of detailing of tasks. So what needs
Okay.
to be done? Well, you have to have a design, you have to have some, procurement procedures, you have to have some construction processes, and so on. So these are the work structure to be done. That's why
Okay.
work breakdown structure, not a project plan. We are not mentioned date or resources or any plan here, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. It's just a work breakdown.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, now here we are going in detail into the architectural diagram. Let us stop here. Let me give you, good videos on WBS as well as minutes of meeting. Okay, please watch them.
Okay.
And what I would really suggest for making team, make a use case diagram, make a user story, and make a WBS. Try to do it at least.
Okay.
These, well, the first two are very important. You are going to use it. For WBS, it's a choice of organizations. But again, I really like the WBS to be used in my day-to-day life as well. So let's say if I'm giving any very difficult exam, okay, let's say research is my very difficult subject. So what I'll do, I'll create a WBS. So how to prepare for that exam? I'll create a plan, but I'll just start with the WBS. So what are WBS? Okay. So how many days I need to start early preparation for that difficult subject? How many chapters do I have? How many marks assigned to every chapter? What are the things if I want to plan for just 70 marks rather than 100? I want to prepare the paper for 70 marks, and I can plan that because it's really difficult for me to understand. It's really complex subject. The study material is too big. Again, depending upon the reason, I can start planning my giving that difficult exam with the WBS. It really helps a lot. Like I told you, I'm going from house to office. How can I efficiently do this task? I can build a WBS and then start building this team one step at a time. Does it make sense, sir?
Yes.
So try to do these things. Try to utilize some day-to-day work and try to build WBS and try to understand how effectively I can achieve my goal. How effectively, efficiently I can do that thing next time. And that's the beauty of WBS. So it's a kind of life rather than a project. And here you can generate a good plan. And as you have your WBS with you, you have done your WBS, I can go to a granular level to understand if my plan is a success, will be a success or not. What are the checkpoints I can include in my plan also. Okay, those are called milestones. Checkpoints are milestones.
Okay.
But we'll come to it later. We'll see the project plans as well sometime later. But right now, just try to understand work breakdown structure. That's the beauty of initially planning the work the best possible. Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Could we stop here?
Yeah.
And then we'll basically start with the actual architectural tools like high level diagram, how we build this high level diagram, what are the tools we use. It's a simple start, simple understand how we have to build this thing. And then we need to go for the best three or four tools you want to learn in terms of business analyst. That's the final stage in our business analyst stuff. And then we'll move back to the our data analysis purposes. Okay,
Okay.
sure. Let's stop here today. Let's try to revise this in the next time, and we'll take that from there. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. You have a good night.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Thanks a lot.